Good day, my name is Questa, your reliable IT enthusiast. Today we'll be looking at configuring a Dhcp server on a 2012 R2 server. I'll be using GNS3 as my configuration lab. So here is our topology. So basically we'll having a router, our server, a 2012 server, and a couple of PCs to test with. So starting, I will have to configure my router to have an IP address, which we're going to use as the default gateway when configuring our Dhcp server. So I'm going to turn on my router. And quickly launch the console. We're going to go to the interface. First of all, it's very good to always check the kind of interface you have, so we're going to quickly do that. Sure. So this router's fast Ethernet is configured on this particular interface on fast Ethernet 0/0. You can actually highlight that here so you can see our interfaces. We're going to go into the interface. I'm going to add an IP address. So we're going to be using this IP address range 172.1.34.100.1. Default mask of 255.255.255.224. 224. That was a /27. Subnet mask. Enter. We're going to turn on the interface by typing shop. So now that we have our interface configured, we can quickly check that. Then show IP interface brief. You can see now that our interface has been configured with this IP address and it's up. So we're going to go to our server. We're going to type in my password. Tools Dhcp. So we're going to be configuring an IPv4 Dhcp. So we're going to get a new scope. Next, what will be the name of this scope? We're going to use our local LAN, for example. Local LAN. Next, so the start IP address, if we go back to our GNS3 topology, now our IP address is 172.168.100.0. So the start of the IP address will be starting from 1 to 30, because our 31 will be the broadcast for that subnet. So we'll have 172.34.100. That's one, and the default IP address is 172.172.100.30. So which implies our subnet mask will be 255.224. Maybe there's a /27. So here you're looking at the type of IP address range that you want to exclude. So since going back to our topology, we have our router already configured to 1, and then basically we'll have our server configured for 2, so we can exclude a couple of IP address. So let's look at excluding from 1 to 5. That's 100.5. We'll type the IP address we want to exclude. The range of IP address we would like to exclude: 34.100.1 to 72.34.100.5. I'll click next. So here you're looking at the least duration. Now this implies once an IP address has been offered the address. So by default it's 8 days. You can actually reduce it to 2-3 days. So we're gonna just stick to the default. Here you have to configure the most common DHCP option before client can use the scope. So do you want to configure the DHCP option for this scope? Yes, we stick to the default option here. I want to configure this option now. To add an IP address for a router used by clients, enter the IP address. So we're going to enter the IP address of the router. 1. And click next. You can specify the parent domain. Here, if you're running a domain, you can actually indicate the domain here. So I already have a DNS configured on this server. So for me, I'm going to stick with my default domain. Entering server IP address here enables Windows client to query WINS before they use the broadcast to register and resolve NetBIOS. Here we're going to click next. Do you want to activate the scope now? Yes, I want to activate. Click next. Then you finish. So it's as simple as that. Our DHCP has been configured. In order for us to test this, we'll go back to our GNS3 topology. Now we turn on our PCs. Allow console. By default, if we try to find out the IP address this PC has, find out that it doesn't have an IP address. Doesn't have an IP address, so we can actually request for an IP address from our DHCP server. You can actually use a question mark to find out more options. Okay, we can use auto, IP auto, attempt to obtain IPv6 address, or IPDHCP to attempt to obtain an IPv4 address. So since our DHCP server scope is for IP version 4, I'm going to go with IPDHCP and hopefully see if we can get an IP address from our DHCP server. Most times it can take a couple of minutes. Can't find the server. Let's give it a try again. still cannot find the server, so there's something wrong. So if we go back to our server, let's check if we have an IP address configured on this server. You can see it doesn't have an IP address. Most likely that could be the issue. So let's go in there and configure a static IP address. So we're going to configure its own IP address. We're going to use 2 subnet mask. And default gateway. Let's confirm that again. That is our IP address. So let's go back to our PC and try getting an IP address again. Let's see if we're able to get an IP address this time around. Let's give it a try again. Okay, let's go to our router and see if we can reach the server by pinging its own IP address. 34.100.2. You can see it's reachable. It's reachable. So let's try again. Lastly, we will need to go to our router. We need to go to our router and enable the fast Ethernet 0/0 and then apply a command onto that interface suggesting where this PC should get its IP address from. So with that, it should be able to direct it to the server for its IP address request. We'll go back into the interface of the router and apply IP helper address and type the IP address of the server 100.2 and enter. Hopefully should be able to get an IP address from the server. Okay, bam. So this is what we'll expect. So if you can see on our server, we excluded IP addresses from 1 to 5. So you can see the first IP address it's assigning to this PC, it's an IP address of .6, and then its default gateway is this. So we can also do the same for PC2. Start up PC2. Open the console. Repeat Dhcp. Enter. Okay. So also got into an IP address.a, so we can do a ping to all the hosts in our lab. Got one. Okay. Switchable. And do the same thing to the server. Definitely it's switchable. And also do to the PC1, which is .6, switchable. So our configuration was done successful. I hope this tutorial was informative. For more tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. You can always follow me on Twitter, Facebook. On Twitter, you can reach me at the handle George Oyemina, and on Facebook, you can follow me on George Ugo. Thank you for viewing and have a wonderful day.